So now we are going to take a deeper dive into what have we discussed so far, right? So verbal communication, we have already said that it's a series act of conveying messages, ideas, or feelings through the use of mouth. So verbal communication techniques. So what are the techniques of verbal communication? Use language appropriate to the level of audience, right? So if your audience is not mature, then you have to use basic simple language. If they are very technical, you should be using technical language. Use appropriate verbal non-verbal cues. So non-verbal cues we will see in a while. Listen carefully, make eye contact. Remember to pause after for a breath. You should not be speaking very fast. um, Give others time to understand what you have said. Eye contact is very important in face-to-face settings. um, and you have to speak clearly. Okay. When we talk about verbal communication, again, there can be levels of this. What do you say? Uh, Levels of verbal communication, we can say. One is called intraverbal. Within the verbal, there is intraverbal and extraverbal. Intraverbal means intonation of words and sound. So when we are speaking, we are laying emphasis on certain words. We are changing our tone, where we have to express something very critical. We will be sounding more serious. Our pitch will be lower, right? If we have to emphasize on keywords, we might, stress that word a lot. Maybe speak it in a way that we draws everyone attentions toward it. There are certain extra verbal things also you can use, like phrases you can use, semantics you can use, which again make your conversation more realistic and more meaningful to others. There is something called non-verbal communication, where we use our body gestures, our postures, our movements, our hands, right, to convey what we are saying and to kind of build the, if I am saying something which a lot of body movement, it might, uh, you understand it differently. If I am just saying it very plainly, you might understand it differently. Understanding means not that you're not understanding my words, but the intensity of how I say and how I behave in front of you will give you a different sense of maybe urgency, different sense of importance, different sense of criticality about that topic. Then there are something called paraverbal skills, paraverbal level also, in which we are talking about um, again the tone, the pitch, and the pacing of our voices. So this is where we are saying it is not about what are we saying. It is more about how we are saying it. Okay. So someone who is very angry and speaking to you in a very in a very loud voice is a very different, will different convey a very different message than someone just sitting on the chair and speaking to you very softly, even if the same words are being used. Okay. So I hope you are able to get the message. So a sentence can convey entirely different meanings depending upon the emphasis on the words and the tone of the voice. For example, Cynthia likes you with a littling tone can mean that you are teasing someone. Stress the word you this time, and you might be saying, I wish she liked me. And if you stress on likes, the message comes out like whatever made you think she didn't. Okay. So the same sentence, and just when it is spoken in a different way, will convey different message. So always remember this, and you can use this in your conversations as well. So so the tips to improve your paraverbal skills: try lowering the pitch of your voice a bit. So you should not be feeling sounding shouting to people around you, right? Whenever you will see very senior people speaking, they will be always speaking softly and they will be speaking with a lower pitch. Lower pitch does not mean low volume. Okay. Volume can be even good enough for everyone to understand, but your pitch must be not very on a high note. The smile. So this says that if you're smiling and speaking, your sound itself becomes very positive and very friendly automatically, right? Even on a phone call, it is said that when you are smiling and speaking on a phone, people will be able to make out that you are in a good mood. Sit straight up and listen. This is very important. If you are lying back on the couch, if you are sleeping, if you are in a state where you are not fully focused, again, your voice will not come out the way it should. If people are able to sense that you are boring and then you're speaking, or you are frustrated, or you are not interested, your conversations will anyways end in a bad shape. Monitor your inner monologue. Negative thinking can seep into your tone of your voice. Again, if you are like angry with someone and trying to avoid it, but if you are having those negative thoughts, they will eventually come into your conversations and in tone of a voice, and people will make out, right? So don't think you are able to hide your emotions. When you are speaking to people, your emotions become a part of your speech. So nonverbal communication. Uh, Nonverbal communication is a process of communicating through sending and receiving wordless, mostly visual clues between the communication. So, what kind of face you make, what kind of hand gestures you make, right? So when you are working in a face-to-face scenarios, your body will convey a lot of things. So just suppose you are telling something to someone and he makes any of these gestures. So you might be surprised why they are doing so. You might start thinking that, okay, have you said something wrong, etc., etc. So this is also very important in workplace communication. So again, the categories of non-verbal communication, there are two categories. One is called messages produced by your body, as we have just seen in the photographs in the last slide. And then non-verbal messages produced by the broad setting, like time, space, and silence. So body we have already seen. I think we don't have to repeat it, and we all understand it. Uh, but when it comes to your produced by the broad setting, right? So for example, if you go reach a meeting 5 minutes late, right, and you don't even apologize to people, it will send a message to the audience about you. Okay. Similarly, when you talk about space, normally we divide our space into four categories. Something that's called personal, intimate, then personal, then social, and public, right? So the way you are sitting with someone, uh, uh, how close you are to that person, that also conveys something, right? So normally, when in a professional setup, we are should always be in a social space or a public space. Okay, personal and intimate is not for our professional, what do you say, offices, right? And uh, so this also conveys messages about you. Similarly, silence. Silence is again an important strategy. Maybe not at your level, but if you are talking to someone and after saying something you be are silent for some time, that gives the time to other person to think about the conversation and maybe say something more about it. So this is a bit more sophisticated way of communication, but yes, it is there. So this is also something called non-verbal messages which happen. So again, what are the techniques for improving your non-verbal communication? Again, eye contact is important, body posture is important. You can so how do you stand, how do you what do you do with your hands, distance, how much distance you maintain with people, sound intonation we have discussed, touch, maybe not, any sounds that you are producing, your volume, your vocal tone, your gestures, and your facial expressions, right? So you have to be aware about all of them. And uh, so in a very simple terms, at your level, I will always say that you must dress appropriately. There is something called a open body stance and a closed body stance, that you should never be having your hands folded together. They should always be separate. That is an open stance that you can use. Eye contact is something that you, uh, whenever you are speaking to your audience, there should be some eye contact. So it is not a case that you are just staring at the other person continuously. Make an eye contact for a few seconds, then again, uh, if there are multiple people, for each one of them, you just make a small eye contact and move that over. Intonation we have discussed, volume we have discussed. So I think we have discussed most of these things. So if you are aware of these things, yes, you will be able to communicate well.